everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tuong, the weekly quarantine show where I get to talk to my friends near and far to talk about pop culture and cool shit. We just came out of the spookening month of October, and now we're in, I don't know, what, November? Like, is there any fun words to say with November? Today we have Angus MacDonald joining us here in the podcast once again. And Angus, How do you feel about November?
November is a weird time. You know, we've got the election coming up in the US. I assume this will come out after that.
Oh, no, it'll come out right before.
Right before. Okay, well then.
Predictions? No, that's not happening. that is not this show.
I mean, yeah, no. November's not bad. I do have fonder feelings of October and December. November I often forget about. Even though my anniversary is in November.
Me too, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, probably I should just say November is the best month of the year. But I often forget to.
Me too. Me too. Good thing our partners don't listen to the show.
Nope, they don't listen to the show. And they're certainly not in the room while I'm recording it.
Angus, happy to have you back.
Yeah,
now,
thank
usually
you for having me.
With the, of course, we're always happy to have you in the podcast, and you basically live here.
I do.
Now, usually with the quarantine new format of Talking Tuong, I've been trying to reach, new friends every episode, every week as a new guest, but we can't not have you.
Thank you.
It feels weird if we do 10 to 15 episodes without you. So
thank you. I'm trying to remember what topic I was on for last time. If it was it? I think it was villains, or was it?
It was
villains, and also when that time you made me watch season 2 of Iron Fist, the whole goddamn season.
That was a much different show back then.
It was, and listeners, I had never seen the first season. It was brutal.
Well. Just remember season 1 of Iron Fist, even though you've never seen it, much worse. So.
Is it really? Oh,
much worse.
Maybe we should. You'll have to do one of those.
Oh my god!
We'll do a postmortem on all the canceled Netflix Marvel shows.
Okay. Well, if we do Daredevil, then I do
need a reason to watch season 3. I haven't watched.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Right.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about that, Angus. And usually at the top of the new format of the show, we introduce who you are and what you've been doing during quarantine. But we did that already. People know who you are.
That's true. And I haven't been doing much during quarantine.
Well, have you done? Well, I mean, the spookening just happened yesterday.
That's true.
Halloween. Did you do anything special for Halloween? Did you hand out that candy?
No, we had one trick-or-treater come to our door, and it was my girlfriend's niece come to our door, and we knew she was coming, so we gave her a bunch of candy. We had some friends over to watch some movies, and that was about it. Yeah.
What is the spooky movie of choice?
You're gonna love this because we watched it a couple weeks ago or something.
Oh,
we watched
God.
Gantz O.
No fucking
way. We
100%
did. We threw that on while we were kind of hanging out, and people got pretty into it. Sarah really likes it, so it's going to get a lot of play in our house.
Well, Gantz O, for people who don't know,
I was going to suggest it for a Talking Tuong episode many moons ago.
It's definitely not a Halloween movie.
It's a Halloween movie. Are you kidding?
I mean, there's monsters, I guess.
Yeah, it's spooky.
I guess there's some spookiness to it. And there's some pretty badass characters in it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's anime, CG, monster, gore fest. That's about
Jiggly boob.
Like a little bit. Yeah, there's a couple jiggly boob physics moments in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
it's Japanese. They get that in when they can.
Of course. Well, we're not here to talk about weird jiggly boob animation stuff,
but we should be.
But instead, we're going to talk about the news of the week. Now, Angus.
Right.
I'm so comfortable with you that usually I do a lot of prep work before an episode of Talking Tuong.
Yeah.
And when I say a lot of prep work, very minimal. I spend like half an hour copying over headlines from IGN to my notes app. When I'm watching the movie of the week, the TV show of the week, I'm writing a bunch of notes.
Yeah.
Angus, for you, blank slate. I got nothing.
That's fine by me. I forgot I'm not going to lie to you. In this moment, I'm now remembering that it's not just talking about the thing we're going to talk about. We're talking about the news as well. So,
I'm really happy I have a guest who cares of the format.
Well, you know,
Yeah, you know what? We play it loosey
we
goosey,
do.
us two, don't
So
we?
what is in the news these days?
Okay, I'm glad you asked, Angus, because oh my god, no, this is the first time I'm looking it
This is
up
just
here, and
pop
I'm gonna,
culture news, right? We don't have to get
of
into
course.
okay, because that's more of the news
Oh
I've been following, and it's depressing.
no, we will
What is?
not do our election predictions or anything like that. Maybe we'll start with what's in the news today? What's in the news today?
Oh shit, Jay Leno. Did you hear
uh,
about this? You hear about this?
what do you feel about let's see, James Gunn had DC's permission to kill any character in the new Suicide Squad movie. Now, I'm only bringing this up because someone tweeted Harley Quinn has franchise armor. Pretty sure King Shark and Amanda Waller also have. DC has them in other things protection. And every other
King
character has
Shark in?
80. What's that?
What else is King Shark in?
Nothing. But
Yeah,
I'm sure
King
he's a
Shark.
pretty
Yeah, I don't know. I could see King Shark getting killed. So I don't know the full cast of characters, but I did watch the trailer for it with James Gunn's. And at a certain point, once I saw like the 12th character or something like that, I was like, oh right, a bunch of these characters are cannon fodder. So
Oh, yes.
like I would love to. God, can we bring up a list of the one sec? The Suicide Squad. I'm curious. We could like John Cena's in it. 100% his character gets killed. 100.
No.
Really?
Well, I was gonna say because he's getting his own TV show on
Really? With that
HBO
character?
Max. Yeah,
Ugh.
that character.
What character is that?
It's called Peacemaker.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I think that
apparently
might be a
he's
misdirect.
like a Captain America type.
Yeah, I
but
figured he'd be like a joke, especially because it's John Cena, who seems like a really sweet dude. I just don't think he's strong enough to carry an entire TV show.
hey, I don't know. He's been in a lot of stuff, so I could see it. I could see it. But
Wow.
yeah, he's apparently a Captain America type, but like also a dick. So
yeah,
of
yeah, I
course,
figured. Yeah,
right. So yeah, I mean, like to me, I'm like, there's no way they kill Harley Quinn. She's
no,
too.
Harley Quinn doesn't get killed. I don't know. I think Boomerang might be on the. Is he back?
I think so.
He got like of all the characters, he was like really like not used at all in the first movie. They set up that he can like break into banks and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
vaults. And then isn't the climax of that movie, doesn't it take place in like a bank and they don't use him at all to like break into anything?
I've seen the movie once.
Yeah, it was
The
bad.
Academy Award winning movie Suicide Squad from a
Oh,
couple years back.
right?
No, it was like in like the middle of a city,
It's
and there's like a big
no,
vortex
they go into a
going
building.
on.
They go into a building at the end. They fight. Oh,
Is it
God.
in the building? I thought
Yeah,
it was
they fight
outside.
inside. Inside at the end. Yeah, it's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. The geography sucks. Yeah, it's
It's a
I'm
bad
trying to bring
movie.
up the cast here. Yeah, it's man.
Nathan Fillion's character will die. Peter
definitely.
Capaldi's character will probably
Yeah, is he
die.
Polka Dot? Peter Capaldi. Oh no, Peter Capaldi is
The
he
Thinker.
doctor? The Thinker. Oh, he's definitely dead. There's a Polka Dot guy in there. He's definitely dead. Yeah, a bunch of these guys are dead. Who's the voice?
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I think we'll end up watching it. I imagine, like, right?
Yeah,
Are we gonna watch the Snyder cut of?
we
have to.
1000%.
Can you have me back on the show to talk about that?
I was talking with Paul JP from last week on Talking Tongue, and we were talking about the Snyder Cut and how it's 4 hours long.
Is it
People who
really?
don't know.
Are they reshooting? They're shooting new stuff for it, aren't they?
Yeah, which is crazy because
That's wild.
Maybe I'm retreading some stuff we talked about last week, but we have a new guest this week, damn it. And basically, at first, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're only using the money to redo some effects because everything's already shot. We're all good to go." And now they're like, "You know what? Let's hear us have more money." And to like shoot more scenes with these characters. And I'm like, I don't know if more is better.
Yeah.
Do we need more? I don't know.
It's just such a bad movie.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh no, I'll definitely
It's gonna
watch
be
it, obviously.
terrible, but I
it's
can't
gonna
wait.
suck.
Okay, here. Let's see what else. What else is in the news? What else is the news today?
What else is the news?
We have Oscar Isaac in talks to star in Marvel's Moon Knight series.
Oh right. Okay. Yes. So we talked very briefly about this. I think I mentioned to you that I thought Moon Knight was one of those characters that might end up being a Keanu role. Although I didn't think I thought Moon Knight would be a movie character, but maybe TV makes more sense for him.
Yeah, I think so. Like he's not really, I mean, he's not like super powered, I guess. Like there's
No,
iterations of
he's like a
him where he
Batman,
gets
isn't
like
he?
what's that? He's like
Count,
Batman,
yeah.
yeah. There's iterations of him where he gets like super beefed up and he gets like, I don't know, more cosmic powers, I think. But
Okay,
like
yeah. Well, because
but
he has like a deity that like gives him his
yeah,
powers or something.
exactly. But he's not, I mean, I've only read one series, one comic book run of Moon Knight, and like it's hard to tell. Like sometimes you're like, is this deity real,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing?
Yeah.
Is he actually getting the powers from it, or is he thinking he's getting the powers? And I think like other versions he actually is, and some versions he's not. That kind of thing.
Okay. Do you think? Okay. Here. Okay. Do you think this will be a elegant discussion on mental health, or are they going to flub it in like some pretty awkward ways?
It's Marvel's been pretty
They've been
good, I think.
not
They've
bad,
been
but
pretty good, and I
yeah.
think, I mean, the first everything, the Infinity Saga, whatever, everything up to Endgame, you know, you can say there's an argument of like underrepresentation for
Mhm.
different groups and stuff,
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
I definitely feel as though they are aware of this and they will probably make the right choices
Hopefully, yeah,
moving
yeah,
forward. Yeah. I'm excited. Oscar Isaac is a great pick for someone like Moon Knight because he does
yeah.
have multiple personalities. Like in the comic books, his personalities are Wolverine, Spider Man, and Captain America.
Oh, interesting. Wait a sec. So he thinks he's those people at different
He
times.
makes those choices based on what those three people say in his head.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That reminds me a bit of. Did you ever read the comic Cowboy Ninja Viking?
No.
Oh shit, that was a fun one. I never finished it. It was pretty short lived, and in fact, I thought they were talking about doing a movie a long time ago with like John Favreau and like Chris Pratt. But it's basically like it's this like secret government funded or something. I don't know. It's this like program where they create these people with multiple personalities,
Mm-hmm.
and they like force it upon them through like I don't know experiments, and they're called triplets, and each of these characters has like three distinct like archetypes in their head, and the main character has a cowboy, a ninja, and a Viking that all kind of put their different points of view into how he behaves, and then he'll run into like this person. This person's like a gladiator, a deep sea diver, and a chef, and it's like it's weird. It's weird. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I
Yeah.
didn't know that about. I truly know next to nothing about. What is it? Moon Knight. I was about to
Moon
say
Knight. Yeah.
Nightwing. Moon
He's
Knight.
a
I'm excited though. I'll try. I'll check it out.
he's an interesting character. I think he's like he has he's ripe for some interesting shit because he's not like a regular hero. He's kind of a shitty person to be
Yeah.
honest. So like,
Yeah.
but he's also very
Is he very
he's
rich?
basically Batman. Like
Okay.
he
Yeah.
both are rich, both are nocturnal vigilantes.
Vigilantes.
Vigilantes. He uses gadgets. He's not
Yeah.
exactly sympathetic to those.
Yeah. He's fairly brutal in his means and stuff like that. Kind of like Batman. I'm sure they'll comment on that.
Yeah,
This guy
exactly.
does sound much better for a TV show because the TV shows, I feel like they can make those a bit darker than the movies. The
Right.
movies all have to be like pretty, fluffy. Save for I don't know, I guess Endgame and Infinity War had
Yeah,
some
I
less
was
than
going
fluffy
to
moments.
say.
No, and that's why those movies, that's why those two stand out for me. And I've told you this a bunch of times that I'm really fatigued by like Marvel right now. So like
Mhm.
I am not really excited for any of the movies, but the shows have gotten me like WandaVision has piqued
Yeah.
my interest.
Well, listen, Angus, we had an unintentional year off Marvel movies, so
I know, right? Maybe I'll be back.
next one that we get is not until like March of
Because
next
what
year.
was last one?
Maybe.
Spider-Man,
Yeah,
which
that's it.
was I'm gonna go ahead and say it, not that good.
All right. Well, today's episode is not about this. I feel like we
I
can go down.
remember almost nothing from it. Now that I think about it, I remember almost nothing.
Oh, it's a good movie.
It
It's a
didn't
good
stick
movie.
with me at all. And Spider-Man sticks, so
Of course.
Spider-Man, one of my favorite fictional characters of all time.
And he's six because of webby hands.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
I
so.
thought that's what you were going for. Okay, all right. Let's see. This is a weird thing, and I
I
should have.
love this late night
This
monologue.
late night.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this?
Tongue Leto. That's nothing.
Tongue Leto.
Yeah,
Like
Jared.
Jared Leto?
No, Jay
Oh,
Leno.
Tongue Leno.
Leno.
Leno, gotcha.
Leto.
Oh boy, here we go.
No.
My brain is melting.
Oh god. Facebook quietly rolls out game streaming. This is the first I'm reading of this.
Mhm.
It looks to be like a clouds gaming thing.
Okay.
Much like
Stadia?
Stadia, xCloud,
Yeah.
the Luna, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
Thoughts?
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 Yeah, with all these streaming services for games, I think that's a great idea, and I do think it's the logical next step. I just think it's going to be a while before it's actually as feasible as people want it to be. I don't know.
Right.
It's so dependent on how good your internet is. I don't know about you, but like my internet, I pay for really good internet, and there's still like plenty of times in a week where it will just not seem to behave itself.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. If I'm downloading the games and playing them locally, that sounds great. If I have to stream the game as I'm playing it, I'm not so into that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like, this is not this story, but even like cloud gaming is definitely a thing for this next generation coming up very, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Switch, even, I'm moving on, but there's a game called Control, which got high praise last year, which got a surprise Switch release as a cloud version of the game, which means that you have to be connected to the internet and the game's running off, the gaming studio, whatever their servers it's running off, not locally. And that's just, I just also feel like a lot of people don't have great internet. So
yeah. I think that's a basic human right now for us to all have internet. So once that becomes more of a thing, I think I'll be very on board for for game streaming and stuff like that. But
even the Switch, I am a big Nintendo guy, but like they have terrible Wi-Fi like connectivity to begin with, and you got like games like I'm just reading now Hitman 3 coming to the Switch as a cloud game. Apparently, possibly Resident Evil, like the new one coming as a cloud game. Like it's very interesting stuff. I'm just like, are we there? Like, can we do that?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean.
And do people want that? Because I mean, I had Stadia for free for 3 months. I booted it up once. I said, "Hey, this works," and then never looked at it again because like Stadia is just a bad That's a funny one. The technology works not flawlessly, very, very well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like surprisingly well. You're like, "Oh my god, I'm playing this in a browser," and then you're like, "Well, time to go play my games on my console," I don't give a shit about that. I don't know. Like, it's just the game library there is just terrible, and the whole everything about the how the games are rolled out on that platform are bad.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think I heard Atari's making. Did you hear Atari's making a new console? Is that Is that real?
I hope not.
It's just kind of like maybe just you can make some games, but. Let it go.
Okay, all right. Let's see. What else? What else? What else do we got here?
What else is new?
This is Marvel rejected Matthew McConaughey's request to play the Hulk.
Sorry, just the way that's worded. That's really funny. When was this? Recently or originally?
I don't know. I'm reading this headline here. I think it must have been before the Ruffalo version of
maybe between. I actually really like the first Hulk movie they did. I think it's much better than some of the other Marvel movies. I obviously don't think it's like top tier. I really like the Edward Norton Hulk movie. I think it's better than I'd rather watch that than like the first Thor movie or the second Thor movie or probably the second Iron Man movie, or there's a couple of them where I'm like, I think I'd rather watch that. But all in all, I think Ruffalo's a good, decent, good Hulk. I can't imagine McConaughey being a good Hulk though, or a good Banner. Like I would not who would he be? He would be like Star Fox or something like that. You know what I mean? Like he's like not the character. Is his name Star Fox?
Which one?
It's like Thanos' brother. He's kind of got like weird seduction powers though, so that's like also kind of weird. But he's I
don't think I know that character.
Oh, you don't know that guy? He's Thanos' brother, and he looks nothing like Thanos, and he like if I'm remembering correctly, he can like make people fall in love with him, which is a pretty like iffy, pretty iffy power to do. But I don't know. Yeah, I feel like McConaughey would be better suited somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I
who
would
would you
love to.
cast? McConaughey is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'll even let you pick Spider-Man characters. Who do you pick
I,
for?
I want him. I want him to be Steve Rogers. I want him to have this,
You want him to
like,
be the new Captain America?
but no. I want him to replace Chris Evans and be Steve Rogers. But he has to like keep his like kind of stonerish voice that he has in
sure
Dazed
he
and
would.
Confused.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. That he has in every movie. Yeah. That's not fair. I haven't actually seen many of his films.
Yeah, it's true. I want him to be like a really laid back Steve Rogers who's supposed to be super serious all the time. All right, let's do it.
I can do this all day.
Oh boy. Okay, let's move on to Mandalorian season 2 just dropped.
Yeah,
very exciting stuff. We're not going to talk about spoilers. Don't worry, people at home. I watched it.
Is it an episode at a time type thing?
Yep.
Okay, I have not watched it yet.
Yep.
I liked the first season though. It's the only Star Wars thing to come out in a while that's made me excited.
Right. So here, this is non-spoilers. I was just, when I watched this episode, I fucking forgot. Like, I was very excited, but I fucking forgot how gorgeous Mandalorian is. Like the set pieces and how it feels. Yeah, him himself.
Well, have you seen how they film that? Like, it's not a green screen, but it's like a digital 3D screen around them. It's really cool tech. It's very super cool stuff.
And
they basically use a game engine. It's awesome.
Exactly. And I'm like looking at Mandalorian, I'm looking at all these like gorgeous set pieces and costumes and everything. And I'm like, this looks better than the movies. Like it's crazy. And the way it just feels much more lived in and alive. And even though there's more money behind the other sequels and stuff like that, it's like this feels like the true logical next step in like post Empire, post like, all of the, all that stuff.
You're 100% right. It looks a lot more real, and I think that's a big part in that they use a really good blending of like real costumes, real props, and some CG to kind of like mix that, blend it well. It's the same reason that like I think some of the early Marvel movies look so good still. It's like Iron Man. They're like, well, they blended a real costume with CG elements, and then you get to like Endgame, and Iron Man's his suit is fully CG. Right. And so it just like it loses a bit of that. I don't know, like taking up real space.
Sure.
And real
kind of like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, where like Lord of the Rings costumes are fucking amazing, and then you look at The Hobbit and you're like, why couldn't you have used a costume for that?
Yeah, exactly. Oh god, don't even get me. Oh god, those movies.
I know. But I my non-spoilery thoughts of Mandalorian still fucking good.
Thumbs up for that first step.
Thumbs up for that first step. Okay. And that's all I'll say.
Do you think we're going to get tired as a culture? Do you think we're going to get tired of Baby Yoda? Or the child, or whatever the fuck we're supposed to call him. Am I allowed to swear on this show? I can't remember.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah, buddy.
Yeah, we swear all the time.
We're cool boys. We're not good boys. We're cool boys.
Exactly. The Baby Yoda, sure. I think by season 3, people will be like, Baby Yoda, whatever. Like until Baby Yoda has another Baby Yoda, like he has a Baby Yoda, then that's when people will get back on board with Baby Yoda.
Gotcha. All right.
All
right.
Let's see. Are we almost there yet? Let's get two more news stories out of the way here. And I'm gonna go with Sony. Sony is reportedly closing in on its acquisition of Crunchyroll.
Oh, really? I didn't know that one was coming. That's something.
Pay upwards to $957 million to acquire the platform. For those of you who don't know, it's an anime streaming platform.
It's probably the anime streaming platform. At least the one I keep hearing the most about.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a good service. Like I have a Crunchyroll subscription. I really like it. I don't know about you, Tung. Do you?
I used to, and then I realized a lot of the anime is on Netflix now, which I'm like, sweet.
I mean, you can't get My Hero Academia on Netflix.
No,
Sorry,
you
buddy.
can't. You
So,
can't. You're right. You're right.
so
So some
all
of it's
right.
not.
So some of it's not. I mean, some of the best of it's not.
Yep.
No, it's that's a good point. We've been watching a lot of the Netflix anime stuff as well. Yeah, Crunchyroll though is a good service. I could see it. I think the benefit for Crunchyroll too is when the stuff airs in Japan, it gets uploaded to Crunchyroll the same day, same time and
Exactly.
everything. So
Exactly.
it's a for the diehard anime crowd, which is like a growing. That's getting a
Which is
lot bigger.
everyone who listens to Talking Tongue,
Pretty much.
They've already turned off this
Yeah,
podcast as soon
they're
as
like,
I've heard
oh.
it said anime. Well, turn it back on, folks, because we have one more news story. We have the last news story is, of course, Sean Connery has passed away at the age of 90, best known for his role, basically solidifying James Bond in,
Sure.
culture and movies.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Angus?
I feel not that bummed out about it. Not like it's sad when people die. Obviously, Sean Connery was a decent performer and played a lot of great characters. He also was in his 90s, so it's not like it came out of nowhere kind of thing. I think it makes and he had some, less than nice views on how one should treat their fellow man and woman and etc and everyone. So he yeah, I don't know, he's a complicated character. I wasn't the biggest fan of his. I'm not a big James Bond. That's actually interesting. It's like, yeah, you're right, his biggest thing was James Bond, a series I'm not that huge a fan of. Like, I know he was like almost Gandalf, he was almost Morpheus, he turned down both those roles.
Fool.
Right, that's why he did that. He turned down Lord of the Rings. Then he turned down, which I'm glad, obviously. That one, I don't even know if he actually was offered that, because Ian McKellen just makes so much sense as Gandalf.
Oh my God, yeah.
But like Morpheus is like, yeah, I could see that. He turned that down. That series became a hit. And then he went and did that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Do you remember that movie? Have you seen that movie?
No,
Oh,
I've heard of this movie.
It's so bad. We should do a Talking Tongue on that. It's real bad, and it made him quit acting forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And also, like, Sean Connery was like a bodybuilder in like the 50s or 60s.
Oh,
or
right.
Like
You're right.
Mr. Universe or Olympia or something like that. So it's like, I don't know. He had like a storied career and did well, and in spite of some of his behavior. And yeah, I don't know. How do you feel? Are you super bummed to hear he's passed?
I don't know. I feel like
I don't want to come off as heartless. I think it's
no.
It's a bummer.
And I feel like
die,
I'm going to come off as heartless because like I also don't have the biggest attachment to James Bond or anything like that. Like, I've watched several of the movies, but I don't really remember any of them, even the most recent ones, to be honest. Like,
exactly,
with Daniel Craig, I know I've seen them, but I'm not like, oh,
the only
Rami Malek's character. Ooh, he's back. Like, shit. Like, I don't care.
The only time I've been excited about James Bond was when there was rumors that Idris Elba might play him, and I was like, oh, that's a great choice.
Right?
Just like a new character, totally new take on it. And I was like, fuck yeah. But then that obviously fizzled, and I was like, well, I'm not interested anymore.
I guess I respect Sean Connery for, like, obviously he regardless of his, like, sketchy past or whatever, in some senses of how he treats people, he definitely left a mark in movies, and that's respectable. And he died peacefully, right? Like, he's 90 years old, and
good for him.
He didn't like get COVID, not from like being beat up or any of that stuff like that. He's people beating up. Hey, people beat up Rick Moranis. It could happen.
Oh my God, I'm more incensed by that senseless violence. I'll tell you what, one last really quick story to slide in there news wise that I think you'll agree with, that has made me more sad than the passing of Sean Connery. Sadly, Cyberpunk 2077 delayed again, right? Which I'm fine with. I'm fine with. Work on it as long as you want, but the team received death threats because the game got delayed. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I did.
Did you hear about this?
I mean, I feel like a lot of we've talked about this with Last of Us Part 2, and like there's another game that happened too where people
got death threats,
are just sending death threats to other people for video games, and I'm like, fuck you. Like, we live in the pandemic. It's harder to work on video games to be
absolutely.
Before the pandemic. It was, and
it's an overworked group of people.
Yeah,
certainly.
right. And they're being overworked right
absolutely.
now.
Oh yeah.
Crunch time is real, and those people aren't sleeping. They're not any of that stuff. They're being treated terribly, and all these people are getting sent death threats from like the fans, quote unquote.
The quote unquote, the people that want to play. Do you think we will get Cyberpunk this year? Because it got pushed to December.
Yeah,
Do you think it'll go into 2021?
I think we'll get it.
You think? Well, I think so too. I think they're close.
I think we'll get it. And sorry, I can't get over it. Like, what's even more sad? Cyberpunk 2077 got delayed by 3 weeks.
Yep.
Over Sean Connery.
I mean, he had a good life and he thought it was okay to hit women. So, I think it's okay to not be super bummed out about his passing.
Sure. At the end of the day, I have no feelings besides, hey, he seems he had a storied career, and that's all I can really say about Sean Connery. I'm sorry. That's all.
Good career. Good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah. Right. Good run. He had a good run.
All right. Good run. We're going to talk about something else that has current good running, cool running.
Why not just talk about A-Train? Just speaking of running.
I got nothing.
No, you're good. Cool runnings. That's what we're talking about. I've never seen it, but I really, really should. John Candy Day. Did you hear about that in Toronto? October 30th or something like that. It's either October. I think it's October 30th because why would they pick Halloween? But the Toronto mayor declared it like John Candy Day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
good for them.
I lost the segue after cool running. So
I'm sorry.
Let's talk about.
Let me switch up.
You know what, Angus? I'm gonna let you take it away in the sense that like you wanted to pick this show. For this week's episode of Talking Tongue. So
I thought it was super relevant. Mm-hmm. I thought it was on the tip of everyone's tongue. And so I wanted to bring up season 1 of Marvel's Iron Fist. I wanted to talk to you, Tongue, about The Boys season 2.
Hi, I'm Stormfront.
Who?
I'm the new girl.
Wonderful.
Oh, God!
So what's your big plan? We'll take them foot.
There we go.
And I get my wife back. We're in.
The Boys season 2. The Boys.
The Boys. Yeah. What did you think of it? Can I ask you that? Can I put that to you first? Like, what are your like overarching thoughts on this second season? And did you like the first season?
Yeah, I guess we should say, everyone at home. The Boys season 1, we're definitely spoiling. In fact, The Boys season 2, we're probably going to spoil stuff.
We're probably going to spoil stuff. I mean, I figured we would.
Yes.
So spoiler warning.
Sometimes on Talking Tongue, depending on the thing, we're like, you should watch it first, blah, blah, blah. But here, we're definitely spoiling stuff. Maybe not on purpose, but we might need to generate more discussion.
I think we have to talk about a few things, like specifically. That's what I wanted. But yeah, at this point, the show is out. The show is out in its entirety, and it's been out for a couple weeks now. Yeah, I was almost worried that this was too past it, Right. So I think people have watched it.
Yeah, if The Boys was something you wanted to watch, well, you would have done it already, I guess. That's how I feel.
And it's not like you can pause this and listen to it later.
No. You have to keep listening to this. The Boys, I really, really, really loved the first season. I thought it was such a interesting thing and made me want to go read the comic. Which
Which I did not. I'll get into that.
I've heard other stuff about it. I even heard that the Boys TV show has started to deviate away from the comics, which is really cool too. Now, The Boys season 2, I was pretty pumped about too because I was like, oh man, like. It's such a, superhero fatigue is a real thing. Mm-hmm. The idea of like superheroes are bad or like, not the most interesting idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, evil Superman. It's like, okay, we've seen evil Superman multiple times now.
Yeah, well, we're getting to that point culturally where now it's all about taking the piss out of superheroes and stuff like that. And, people do shows and comic books and movies, and some people start podcasts where they talk about how weird it would be to live in a world with people with superpowers. These things. I had a friend. So for those of you listening, I also host a show on the Podcavern called Heroes Don't Do Paperwork, which is like a comedy show meant to like examine some of the like weirder elements that would be implicit in a world in which the stuff the movies don't talk about with superheroes and stuff like that. And I started it, and a friend of mine messaged me because the boys was coming around the same time we started, and he was like, "So is this show? Are you just doing this because the boys?" I was like, "No, I've been thinking about this for like well over 2 years now." So it was like, but I was like, "Yeah, my timing's not great." It's gonna ride that coattail a bit.
Yours probably came from My Hero Academia.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was much bigger inspiration. My Hero Academia, and also a show that sadly just got canceled, The Venture Bros, was also a huge inspiration for this show in terms of like they've got like a organization that oversees like who villains are allowed to arch and who they aren't and stuff like that. So it's like those two shows are much bigger influences than The Boys, but The Boys is a lot more prominent. And
right.
I mean, in some senses, rightly so. It's a really well done show. It kind of talks about some stuff that
definitely there's some interesting ideas and I guess to answer your first question, I really fucking love this season. Like I thought it was more tight than the first season. Yeah. There's some story beats in the first season that I think might have been a little bit better, but overall, I thought this was such a beautiful continuation of what happened the first season, and like building on these characters, introducing new heroes, quote unquote, and villains. And it's just the over the top gore and violence reminds me of like Mortal Kombat type shit. Of like, it's so goofy how some of these characters get like knocked out or die or like get their limbs ripped apart and stuff like that. And it's also like some of these characters are like, oh shit, like you're scary.
I've kind of got like three main points on this. Overall, I really liked it. I think it's a really good show. I do wish the second season there's like a really satisfying moment in the first season where one of the characters, Frenchie, this is where we start to get into a little bit of spoiler territory, devises a way in which to kill a superhero with unbreakable skin. And it's a very satisfying moment, maybe less so in execution for me. They put a bomb in his butt, but more so I find it very satisfying when a character is like trying to solve a problem and they like see something on TV and they like a turtle and they're like, oh, it gives me an idea that like on how to do it. And that element, which I think they kind of sell you, at least to me, in the first season, they're like, oh, each superhero is like a different puzzle that you'll have to solve in terms of how to beat them. They do not deliver on that at all in the second season, and it's a bit of a bummer for me. That would be my biggest ask for in the third season was but I think that's what we're building to, because they just kind of introduced a bunch of new superhero or soups on the loose kind of thing. So I think what we're going to see is even like a montage or something like that. I'd love to see different episodes focusing on different, like almost like a monster of the week type thing, where it's like, oh, this superhero is going and doing this. We got to go take care of them. And what are their powers? What are their weaknesses? How do we beat them? I think the show needs to pay that off in the third season, or they'll probably lose me. But I think ultimately it's a really good show.
Soups on the loose. I'm still like
Soups on the loose,
trying to think of something clever of what that goes with.
Soups. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. But I was like Elliot Soups. Soups on the loose.
Oh my God, Elliot Moose. I think it's really cool, and they introduced a lot of new characters. I think the other thing they do in this season, which I think kind of feeds into that first problem, and it's kind of clever in the first season, but they go to this well a bunch of times where our heroes and our villains are in a room together, and we know that the villains could kill the heroes in an instant if they wanted to, but they keep devising these ways of being like, okay, and now we're all going to leave the room because if you kill me, this footage I have of you will go up on social media. They do that. They do it like once or twice in the first season, and then they do it like 4 times. Not exactly like that, but they'll be like, call your boss and let your boss know that I know this, and if you kill
Call
me,
Giancarlo Esposito.
yeah, exactly. So there's a yeah. So, and then of course the biggest thing for me was I wish Elizabeth Shue's character was still in this season.
Which one's that one?
She's what's her name in the first season?
Sure.
Oh my
Madeline
God,
Stillwell.
Madeline. Thank you, Madeline Stillwell. She's amazing. But like Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
I've put this out to a couple people where I'm like, he's a really good actor, and they look at me, they're like, I don't know, and I'm like, okay, he's either a very good actor or very good at playing this menacing, emotionally stunted man-child who could rip everyone in half if he wanted to. You know what I mean? It's like he is so good in this show. Absolutely a high point for me. He's like the great villain.
100%. I think when we first talked about The Boys, weeks and weeks, months and months, like years ago, I guess it would be.
It was a while.
Like, a long time back, we talked about Anthony Starr, and that the cast was like, okay, who is most like their like character that they play on The Boys? And everyone looked at Anthony Starr, and I'm like, oh my God.
Really? Oh, wow. I guess that makes sense. He's
so
real good.
Magnetic to watch. Like he is so good at playing Homelander, and he definitely, every time he's on screen, I'm like, I wonder what this guy's going to do next, because it's just that performance is so rich and textured, and there's just so much to him because he's just so powerful, but he's such a fucking like insecure guy. Which makes it just so interesting to me.
Well, and they do this. They've clearly mapped this. I mean, I imagine most people were able to put this together in the first season. But like, superheroes are Hollywood. You know, that's like the metaphor, right? Is like they are famous people who don't really do that much, but like are just seen doing things in a very particular way. And then like the sexual abuse that runs around there, and the stars like having control over these various things. It's like, it's very clearly, at least that's how I see it, very clearly a metaphor for like Hollywood, or at least that angle of it. Oh, for sure.
Because there is also, I was going to mention, and I'm glad you brought it up, there is definitely some political, I guess, metaphors that happen in this season.
Oh, I mean, they straight up have an AOC character,
right?
And she's great.
And you have like, them talking about like these people are trying to like come in and like they're basically, not to get political, but they do that in this show.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, they do
really
like white.
What's happening?
One of the characters brings up white nationalist talking points, and is like, it's great. Like, I mean, obviously terrible, but like it's very topical. It felt so relevant.
Yeah, exactly.
It really did. Yeah. It's the characters who are the new villains they introduced this season. It's like, it seems, if I don't know, if it was released a couple years ago, it might seem like that seems kind of like you're going to that well again with the Nazis and whatnot. But it's like, no, it's very, very, very relevant now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
they did a really good job with that as well.
And even like, I love there's a cult introduced in this new season that's very much like Scientology, and that's also where it starts to tie into to like Hollywood, where they are like predatorily going after like Hollywood types or superheroes in this who are like on the out, and a big part of getting them in is like, we're going to revitalize your career. It's all like, this is all stuff out of the playbook of Scientology, like totally.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about that. Is Chase Crawford playing the Deep? Now he is definitely the comedic punchline of The Boys. Like he is the punching bag rather. Yeah. And I thought like all the stuff that happened with him this season was just so, it's just so fun to watch. I don't know. He's also a very insecure character, but he's not as powerful as Homelander. So he's kind of like, he will do anything to be like, to get like, a little bit of his confidence back,
Yeah. He's a interesting character. It's one of those things where I'm watching it where I'm like, I start to look at these things and I'm like, okay, who's going to be here until the last episode kind of thing. And it's like Homelander, obviously, a couple of the other characters, like definitely you're going to be around here till the end at the very least. And for some reason, the Deep to me is one of these characters who's going to be around for a really long time in this show, because you're absolutely right. He serves like such a important role of like, he's this character that they can just dump on in these other ways. And don't get me wrong, it's very well deserved. Like, he's an asshole and a creep and a monster in his own right. So he deserves these things, and it's kind of satisfying to watch. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, very entertaining to see him kind of like, I don't know, just navigate like being kind of told what to do, I guess.
Oh yeah.
From like the Scientologists, or I forget what they call themselves in
they're like, I forget what they're called. Yeah, it's and I thought, the whole twist too. I don't know how much you want to get into like the twist at the very end of this.
Yeah, go ahead.
With
go for it.
the mysterious head popper reveal. I was so sure that it was the cult leader.
Oh, right. Yes.
Because of some of the targets that get their head popped, it seems like, oh, this is clearly a move to get your people that you're trying to rebuild up. You're trying to get them back into the 7 or whatever. You know, there was a couple targets where I was like, oh, that makes sense. You're getting rid of that guy so that you can get this other guy back in, kind of thing. So I was surprised. And then I've gone back since, and it turns out there was a lot more hints at who it was than I originally thought.
Right, yeah. It's the AOC character.
Yes, it is the AOC character.
It's very interesting.
Vicky Newman.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting her. I'm on board for it. I'm here for it.
So that's kind of why I think the villain of because I agree with you, like with your first kind of knock against, like, because I really like that as part of the first season. I think that's kind of how it was pitched to us, right? It was kind of like the boys. And, you know, the one Asian girl character who can't talk.
She's one of the boys. She can talk now. She does sign language.
Okay, she doesn't verbally talk.
No, I understand that is like a stereotype as well too. But I was like, the representation of some kind of sign language is also potentially good. I don't know.
Yeah,
we could endlessly talk about that.
We can endlessly. I mean, no, we don't need to.
No,
there was a tweet that said like a lot of minorities get like the silent, mysterious character. And they do sign language, and I'm like, sign language is very important, even though it's made up sign language in this.
I didn't realize that the sign language also went hand in hand with that trope. I guess I'd have to do some more work on that. Yeah, no, because that was the part that I thought kind of absolved it a little bit. But if that's the case, then I feel kind of sketchy about that now too.
I think they can do better, but it's okay. Like the. Well, I shouldn't say it's okay, but
no, it's like, yeah.
It's
not going to ruin the show for you entirely.
That's it.
Her performance is quite good.
Yeah, and I guess my original thing was that, like, so the first season pitched to me as like the boys go up against these heroes, and how do you kill all these like the 7 basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like the story has evolved into something else now, because this season in particular really focused in on Carl Urban's character, Butcher's character of like,
oh god, he's such a piece of shit.
He is, but he's so fun to watch. And
kind of. Sorry, no, please continue. Finish your thought.
I think he's just so fun to watch. He is an asshole.
I'll get into that. I do think he's gotten better this season, but it's one of the hard parts about rewatching the first season was how like his whole thing is like, oh, he's like every toxic masculinity trope rolled up into one, and like the thought in my head that people, because like we've seen how people watch Joker and they watch Rick and Morty, and they totally miss the point. They miss the point of these characters who are like, oh man, he's such a prick to everybody, and he's like not well, and he hurts people. I'm gonna be like that because that's what a cool guy does. And it's like, no, you're missing the point. We can't. That's why we can't have the Wolf of Wall Street, because people look at it and they're like, oh, he's actually the hero, and it's like, no, he's a piece of shit. You're supposed to learn from him. It can still be fun to watch these things, but it's like,
that's how I view it. I think like his character is fun to watch, but I don't think he's a good person.
Well, no, but the thing with this season is he starts to express his feelings more, which is a good thing, and that's why I think there's hope for the character, and I think it could be really satisfying in season.
Exactly. And like his wife is a big prevalent part in this season of him trying to find his wife, and he does. That's a spoilers. And you can see that she is kind of the thing that has kind of given him a little bit of light in his life,
Yes.
And it allows him and they say it multiple times of like, yo, you're an asshole. You're this, you're that, you're that. And you see that she is the only thing that makes him kind of better, and that's where it comes to I like
disagree with you. There's a one other crucial character that makes him better.
His mom?
No, Huey.
Oh yes,
They hit that one really hard. Is that he's his
yes,
canary, so that he's more of a gauge of when he goes too far. Because when
right.
Huey reacts to something of like, "What the fuck are you doing? That's too much." But yes, no, his mom and his dad and his aunt, and you see all these characters. I was glad that we got to see some family members. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say like because and that's a good point with Huey and all that stuff too, but it's kind of like you can change him. I can change him. Butcher,
Mhm.
he's not that bad. Like and like that's the thing about the show, I guess, with that character. You're like, well, he's bad, but what if he got good?
Yeah,
Like,
what if he yeah, exactly. But that's and so here's the thing, that show's gonna have to walk a thin line, I imagine, of like they're gonna have to make him better, but slowly enough that it doesn't like ruin
like
it. Like you know what I mean? Like they can't just start season 3 and he's like a really nice dude. Part of the appeal
no.
is that he's rough and brash and not very nice. Part of the fun is that. I get that. And so I don't want to take that from people. I do hope they give him a few more quality traits, so those people that try to emulate him, even unconsciously,
Mhm.
still kind of come out as good people.
Right. And I think that's kind of why I didn't mind where the season went in terms of like, it's not what I initially thought of what, the villain of the
Mhm.
week kind of thing. It is more like they did spend more time with the characters themselves and like how they feel and how they interact with each other. And it just felt like more of like a character deep dive rather than like a let's kill this one super week kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I think once the season was over, I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this. Like,
Well,
I
it
felt
also
like I learned
yeah.
more about these guys than I did in the first season.
The budget starts to show a bit too once they do get down into these like straight up fisticuff scenes,
Mm-hmm.
like the 3-on-1 beatdown that happens at the end of the third season
This you
with
mean this season?
sorry, the second season, yeah, with the villain is very satisfying.
Oh yeah,
I'm be curious on rewatch to see how it holds up from a like how it is to watch from like a choreography standpoint and stuff like that.
oh sure, yeah,
I'd be interested to watch that again. But yeah, I don't know. I really think it's important for them to get to that point of like, I more or less feels like they have their team fully assembled now,
right.
And so I want that third season to be, I want them to pay off that promise of how do you beat a superhero. This is the team that is sent to spank the superheroes or whatever, however he puts it in the first season. I do think you need to pay off on that promise. I get what you're saying.
Right.
I think that's crucial though for the third season
Right.
and the
Well,
show
now we're
moving
starting to
forward.
see allegiances, right, with like Erin Moriarty's character Annie or Starlight and
Oh, she's
Queen Maeve.
so good.
Yeah, like all of these people are starting to like line up with
Mhm.
the people, the heroes in the seven are not all together, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think I like that Maeve's on board more or less. I like that she's more or less a good character. I don't want to see all of the villains humanized. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
I want too much, I do want them to be bad guys at the end of the day. So it's like, okay, like A Train, I don't want him to become too sympathetic, but maybe he already has. I don't know. He seems really broken up about his deceased girlfriend and all these things. So yeah, I don't know where they're going with it.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
I'd
see.
be curious to see. That's for sure.
Maybe they'll
And
convince me.
we can't talk about this season without talking about like the big character this season,
Yeah,
Stormfront.
Stormfront, amazing addition, and a character that. Okay, can we get into mild spoilers here? I mean, not
I think
mild
we already
spoilers. Can we
kinda
get
did.
straight up spoilers?
We already
A
did.
character that did not need to exist past this season,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I think she was brilliantly performed and written. I gotta look up the actor's name. She's very, very good.
Yeah.
And so I think it's Maya something or other.
Right.
And she's so good. And the reveal, like I was sitting here with Sarah watching it, and at one point I just kind of said, I'm like, wow, this lady seems like a Nazi. And then Sarah, and then later we were watching it, like another night we were watching it, and it was revealed, and I was like, whoa. And Sarah was like, wait, you already called that? And I was like, did I? And she's like, yeah. I had already forgotten that I called
forgot
it.
that you made that.
Yeah, it was
Aya Cash. Aya Cash.
Maya Cash, thank you. Yeah.
Aya. There's no
Aya. Shit.
Just
Yeah.
Aya.
No, you're right. Aya.
She is so good in this season.
She's incredible.
She comes in. She's one of those girls. That are like, okay, she's kind of like what is the word, like super in your face and like I don't give a fuck, and you're like, okay, she's kind of one of these girls, right? And I'm like, but Homelander can beat the shit out of her, and then you're like, wait a second. And it turns out like she's been alive for a very, very long time, and when you see her like in action saving the day, which she doesn't, she like brutally murders innocent people. And murders the what's her name?
She murders Kimiko's brother.
Right. Yes. She does that, and it's like such a you don't want to mess around with this.
Yeah, she's pretty hardcore. Well, so the thing that I really liked though is, and it is why it's so topical, is they use her to kind of explain the real world scenario of how memes were weaponized in terms of campaigns and stuff like that, of like how you get people to think a certain way through the medium of memes, which people joke about as like it's like a nothing thing. Like I think there was this thought that it was like, and obviously meme is like a cultural like term. It's like is it like an anthropology term? It's like a term to mean like these like patterns and traditions we pass down, but like modern usage of it would really boil down to like images with text and gifs and dances and moves and stuff like that. And people I think kind of talked about it like it was a trend. It's like, no, memes are like a thing. This is like not going anywhere. It's going to evolve eventually, but like this is a very powerful tool, and whoever learns to use it first is going to have a huge advantage. And they kind of show that. And I think, there's obviously some parallels to the US and there's
a lot of
stuff. Exactly. It's like, this is the narrative you sell to people to rile them up and to get them angry at other people who are in the same situation they are. And she has such a
huge, importance of like her character herself is like the wife of the guy who made the
she's been around since day one basically.
What do they call it? What's the concoction called?
Compound V.
And it's like, oh wow, and it's interesting, like the greater story that's happening, right? Like she was at the top, and like when you see like Giancarlo Esposito, like all the people above Homelander, like that, I want to learn more about like what's happening there. And like
me too.
When you start seeing like this facility where you see what's that guy's name that
Lamplighter.
has like Lamplighter and stuff, like, which is all great stuff, by the way.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
You're like, oh, there is something more than just like Homelander being the bad guy, right? Which I find super interesting.
I like that Homelander is very good at a specific set of things. Like he's very good at PR or knowing what his message was. That's the big thing they did in the first season was Madeline would give him something like, here are your talking points. And he'd be like, fuck this. I know my base. I will do these other like America, rah, rah, let's fight terrorism, talking points. And they start to show that Stormfront has an even better handle on that than him. So I like seeing that he is not like like Superman. He is not good at everything. One of my complaints about Superman is he always seems to know the right thing to do and say. But with Stormfront and with Edgar, it's Mr. Edgar, who is Giancarlo Esposito. I want to see more of the background. I want to see more of I want to see more of how Edgar has such a good control over Homelander, like how they're able to kind of point him in the directions they want to, because they do still seem to have a pretty good handle on him. Like he walks into a room and you're not even for a second as a viewer, you're not worried that like Stan Edgar is going to get killed. I don't know. At least I wasn't.
Sure. I was like,
oh no, he's got
not going to kill an actor like that.
Exactly.
Right away. They're going to give us a more satisfying.
Next season,
he'll die one.
Next season's my prediction. I bet this show runs for 4 seasons. That's my hope. I think 4 seasons is totally enough for this.
Sure.
I don't know. Do you got any predictions like that?
I can see them milk it a little longer, but I wouldn't want them to go past 5. 5 would be like my utter max.
Yeah,
short seasons. They're only 8 episodes.
Was this season only 8 episodes?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe they could go past 4 then. I don't know. Yeah. I would love like two more seasons, 12 episodes each, wrap it up. But sorry, there was one thing I wanted to talk about that you mentioned earlier, was talking about like wanting to read the comic.
Oh yes, let's
So
talk about that.
I picked up the comic. I was reading it online for a little bit, and I got like 3 issues in, and was very not into it.
Oh yeah.
It's
Why's
one of those.
that?
It's Hoof. Well, the butcher character is even less likable.
Yep.
And it's from an era where people would say things were gay when they wanted to mean something wasn't cool,
Right.
and all this stuff. And like, so for example, in the comic, mind you, I only got like 3 issues in before I decided it wasn't for me. A lot of it plays out the same. Huey is basically Simon Pegg, and he lives in Scotland or the UK somewhere. And A Train kills his girlfriend. It's very, very similar. Very, very similar.
You mean Huey's dad is like Simon Pegg, right?
Well, no,
or
no. The
oh.
kid, Huey, young, like wee Huey, as they call him in the comics, he is modeled after Simon Pegg. So when they cast Simon Pegg as Huey's dad, that is like
Oh.
homage to the comics.
Oh,
Like
I see.
when they created the comic, they're like, if this ever gets turned into a movie, we want Simon Pegg to play this character. Basically,
That's interesting.
yeah, it is. Look it up. It looks just like him. And he's crying on a bench and stuff like that. And Butcher goes to recruit him. And Butcher sits down on the bench. And the first thing he does is he's got his dog with him, who's like Killer or Titan or whatever. He's got this bulldog. And he
Sure.
points to another little yappy dog. And he's like, so and so, fuck it. And his dog goes and like, I guess, rapes another dog. And then they both laugh about it. And I'm just sitting there being like, these guys aren't very likable. I don't really
that's a good homage though that they did, I guess.
They did. And so, and
They did
that's
that.
the thing. Exactly. So they get him to do that with a Homelander stuffed toy. And to me, to me, if I was a fan of the original comic and I saw that, I wouldn't be mad about how they changed it. You know what I mean? Because you know how some people, I mean, we've talked about death threats already being sent to creative types. And it's like, yeah, we changed that thing that was written in like 2003 or something like that.
Sure.
You know,
we made it better.
We made it better and just less like, you know, I don't know, hateful.
Gross.
Yeah. And so like they get the same point across. That's why like a lot of this second season, honestly, feels like they're setting up like the third season is going to start a lot like how the comic starts, weirdly enough, where it's like they've kind of like they've got government funding and they're going to go after the superheroes. So I don't know. I'm hopeful for it as a show. I'm very stoked that they are working away from the comics though.
Right.
There's just keep some of the core ideas obviously that were fun. And I don't know, maybe there's more rewarding content in the comics, but I started getting into it and I just wasn't a fan. It reminded me a bit of like if I went back and read Wanted, a comic I loved when I was like 13 and edgy and stuff like that.
Well, there's no curving bullets in the Wanted comics.
But there's like so much worse heinous shit in that comic. I'm like embarrassed that I really liked it. I've like I was thinking about it the other day and was like, yeah, that was a weird comic. Yeah. So I'm glad the content kind of grew up a bit and matured.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think the season was really great. I thought the end was really good. I think the way that the Stormfront and Homelander's relationship was really well executed. And it was such a fun, like, two, like, titans basically are like in that really weird fuck scene where she's like laser my tits was really funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. So when they team up, it's like kind of scary actually.
Oh,
because for a while I was like, oh shit, she's going to be the one who like can stand up to Homelander and stuff like that because she seems that way. She's not afraid of him and all this stuff, and she seems durable and like strong and powerful. And it's like, okay, yeah, she's gonna. I didn't think she would survive through the season. I was kind of right about that, but I figured she would be less evil than she turned out. And she's like, no, she's actually somehow worse than him. And when they get on the same side, you're like, this is really not good.
That's crazy. I'm really curious to what they do with Homelander's son. Like, you know.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, because
it's interesting. I mean, like the idea of him is not new stuff, but like how they're doing it in the show of like this kid slowly discovering his powers and all this stuff, and now he has like a dead person on his hand.
Yeah, now he killed 2 people technically.
Yeah.
So here's the thing with the kid. I do not think the kid will be in the next season.
What? Really?
Yeah. I have a feeling. Well, so here's the thing. Working with kids is tough, and it puts a lot of strain on the show in terms of like shooting schedules and how they have to have on-site tutors and stuff like that, all this stuff. And I can't imagine it's any easier with COVID. I have a feeling that we're not going to see the kid for a while. It doesn't mean he won't come back, maybe even as a different actor. I don't know how big a part he's going to play in the next season, because it's not like he's with everyone when the
he
season
got
ends.
sent
They
away.
ship him off. Yeah, they ship him off, and he's like, remember what I told you? Yeah, and so I don't think we're going to see him.
That's
next
true.
season.
I
Plus,
really liked how he kind of let loose on Stormfront, because I'm like, if Homelander lasering her boobs was like, not enough to phase her, but like this kid at full unbridled, wrath was able to like completely smoke her.
Yeah, maybe Homelander was holding back. I don't know. I do think it's interesting. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out. I really don't know.
No. Angus, we're at the end of the talking about The Boys, but before we wrap it up, do you want to give your rating for this season?
Is there a scale that I need to adhere to?
Probably themed to The Boys season 2.
Okay. I would like to give The Boys
season
2, please. Of course. Thank you. Season 2, 7 Almond Joys out of a possible 8.5 Almond Joys. No, sorry. 7 Almond Joys out of a possible 9 Almond Joys.
Wow.
What about you?
Let's see here. I would give it... what
did you think of that reveal? Fuck.
That was really funny.
It was funny, but it made me roll my eyes. They didn't fucking set it up very well, but whatever.
No.
He throws away an Almond Joy bar earlier in the season, but I was like, that's not enough. You got to show him like turning down an hors d'oeuvre with almonds in it or something to let me. Anyway, sorry. Please continue.
To deflect your question, Angus, I'm going to light myself on fire. No, I got nothing. That was a really cool scene, though.
That was hilarious. Once he was like, they took down my statue, I knew exactly what he was about to do.
That was amazing. That was an amazing sequence.
And it was fun that they got like a guy who used to be in superhero movies to do it.
Right?
But Bobby Drake from the X-Men movies. Was it Bobby Drake? Yeah.
Yeah. So good. That was really
I was
great.
like, that's a fun little nod. It's fun. When he showed up, I was like, wait, is he Lamplighter? I don't know why. Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Angus, we're at the end of the show here, but before we wrap it up entirely, you already talked about Heroes Don't Do Paperwork.
Yes.
So let's hear more plugs from you.
Yeah.
Or the same plug.
I will just tell people if they're listening to this and they want to hear like, what if The Boys was funnier and much less violent? Funnier than The Boys. Look at me. Yeah, I know it's not that good, guys. Although Tongue's on it and Leslie's on it and stuff like that. Yeah, check out Heroes Don't Do Paperwork. It's a comedic, improvised interview show where I play a kind of a heightened version of myself living in a superhero city. And I work with like a bureaucrat sidekick, and we kind of go through the some of the angles. We talk to superheroes, but we also talk to like what is a relationship counselor for superheroes like? What is a talent agent for superheroes like? We kind of try to examine some of the different angles of what exists in a superhero society, a superpowered society. So if that sounds like fun to you, check it out. It's very canonical, so you have to listen to every episode in order. Good luck.
Definitely check out Heroes Don't Do Paperwork. It's a really great show. Angus's 1 year anniversary with the show just happened.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Go check it out. I will say I don't appreciate how Angus just threw away his character, has now adopted Billy Butcher as his main character.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I don't do the accent, but I say all the same words he does. So
yeah, he uses the C word multiple times.
Big time. Yeah. So yeah,
I was like, Angus,
that kind of guy.
You don't have to do that. And he's like, no, too bad. And then he called me the C word.
I keep telling him that it's satire, but I clearly don't fully understand what satire means.
Oh, man. You can find the rest of the shows in the Pod Cavern at www.podcavern.com. There's so many shows in there. Go check it out. And before we wrap it up, Angus has a famous catchphrase for the people at home.
That's right. When you're talking, don't forget to tongue.
That's the best one yet. Bye, everyone.